wholeness and balanced vibrations. Today I'd like to talk about breath, the prana, or breath work. What does it mean when people say, just breathe into it? We're always breathing, aren't we? Our prana has always been with us and will always be with us ad infinitum. As we go through the journeys of life and death and ebbs and flows, we breathe in from one life to another. Our first breath as we're born, and our last breath as we leave this vessel, is simply a form of communication or a bridge between one incarnation and the next. And so our breath consciousness allows ourselves as ourselves to connect between the levels of consciousness. Our breath, or our prana, is the physical counterpart of the mind, and it uses the hemispheres of the brain, the left and right brain hemispheres, to connect. Our body is connected to the universe through the breath or the prana, and so the breath is simply like the mind in action, providing this pranic force or chi energy to an organism. The pranic force working is the air element, and this air element creates an energetic vibration of frequency of life. The element of air is situated in our heart chakra, and our heart is surrounded by our lungs as angelic wings massaging the heart. The lungs are the highest producers of DMT in our body. And so our body is connected to the universe through the breath, through the prana, either through our nose or through our mouth, as instruments for altering our brain activity. Yogis often train their minds in the awareness of controlling their breath, as when our breathing is calm, then our internal dialogue with ourself is also calm and peaceful, and it stops in the cortex of the brain. In meditation, your brain becomes quiet and subtle, and hence you become quiet and subtle as you move from theta brainwaves into gamma wavelengths of frequency in deep and deeper meditations. When I was studying Swara Yoga, the science of nasal breath, which is a very ancient technology, it taught me to deal with the relationship between the nasal breath and the subtle meridians or the nerves called the nadis. And these were often related to the cycles of the moon and the elements. In studies it has been found that the nasal cycles and the nature of breath flowing between the left and the right nostrils synchronize our breath with the universal rhythms of the moon in alignment with our lives even more. It deals with the bipolarity of our human body, as the right side of our body, bringing in the masculine, the Pingala or the sun side, as Shiva consciousness, and the left nostril bringing in the feminine lunar moon side or the Shakti consciousness. The left nostril breath cools the left hemisphere of the brain, which then causes the right brain hemisphere to become active, which is the feminine side of the brain, related to art, intuition, poetry, music, dance. The right nostril breath cools the right hemisphere of the brain, causing the left brain hemisphere to become more active. This is the masculine side of the brain, the logical side, the scientific side, the one that plans. And so every 90 minutes our breath cycle changes, and under normal conditions the breath flows through one dominant nostril for a couple of hours and then it alternates. As an example, when the right nostril is dominant, it is advised to walk out of your house with your right foot so that you're in alignment with your body. And the same goes with the left nostril being dominant. However, your first step outwards out of the house every morning should always be with your right foot. In Sanskrit, the right side is called the purna, meaning the total or the whole, the full and complete side. And there is a sacred mantra that simply says, Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva avasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And this simply means that I am whole, you are whole, and all is whole in our wholeness together. So this awareness of the nostril breath is like our own innerverse, our own internal satellite navigation system, using our own prana or our own breath in our breath cycle. And in order to determine which nostril is more dominant, we simply hold our hand under our nose and breathe in and out quickly many times in a row, and whichever side you're feeling the cool sensation will be felt on the side of the open nostril. So when the right nostril is dominant, the sun aspect of your system is more dominant. And so you will then start to also influence others more, especially if they're standing on your right-hand side. When the left nostril is dominant, your moon aspect is more dominant, your feminine side, affecting your right brain hemisphere. And so if you wish to alter an unwanted state of being, you just breathe through the most congested nostril, as this will change the body's chemistry, and any unwanted emotional and physiological states also disappear. Swara Yoga also teaches human beings the precise way of living peacefully as masters of their own mind and their body, and it enables them to become true instruments of consciousness. Our nose is the only organ in our continuous interplay with the eternal, external environment, and so our rate of breathing responds to changes in our physical or mental condition. If you notice, when people are stressed, they breathe faster and not so deeply. And when we're angry, our breathing becomes fast, and in deep sleep, it becomes slower as we relax more. And so it is said that the lifespan of a man is not measured in years, but by the number of breaths that he takes. As I have said that the right nostril breath stimulates the left brain hemisphere, or the solar or the fire aspect, this also increases acidic secretions in the body, whereas the left nostril breath, being the lunar cooling, increases the alkaline secretions in a body. So if you have a headache or a migraine, just close off your right nostril and breathe in and out for half an hour just through your left nostril. The nose is in direct contact with the hypothalamus of the brain, and this influences our mental and our emotional processes and states of being. The nostrils are connected to the three main meridians, or the nadis, the left moon being the Ida, right sun being the Pingala, and then we have the central Sushumna Nadi, which pierces all the chakra points and the psychic centers of the body. Both the Ida and the Pingala are activated through yogic breathing called pranayama. This form of breathing I teach during my coaching packages and workshops. The Ida left side makes a person more emotional and magnetic in nature, like a feminine. And so this is the moon breath. The Pingala makes a person more masculine. This is the right side. So making the person more verbal and rational in nature. Throughout the day, our breath flows between the Ida and the Pingala. When the breath flows in both the nostrils equally, the central or the Sushumna Nadi becomes active. It is actually fiery in nature and is automatically active either at dawn or at dusk and in short intervals throughout the day when the transition happens from one nostril to another. All human beings breathe through both nostrils just before death, when the Sushumna Nadi becomes more active for 2 to 4 hours. The right nostril, which is the masculine side, is related to the planets, the Sun, Mars, and Saturn. And so the days corresponding to these planets, Sunday, Tuesday, and Saturday, tend to be more active. Half an hour before sunrise, the breath changes, and the nostril of the day takes over. When the right nostril is also the nostril of the day, the flow of breath through the nostril on the days is more auspicious. The left feminine side of the nostril, connected to the right brain hemisphere, is associated with the lunar planets Moon, Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, corresponding to Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the left nostril work for an hour, starting about 90 minutes before sunrise. Once again, half an hour before sunrise, the nostril of the day takes over. When the left nostril is the nostril of the day, flow of breath through the nostril of the day is also more auspicious. When your Sushumna central nadi is more dominant, it is advised to meditate or to stay in silence, as this allows the complete absorption of the subtle source of all existence. So the main purpose of breath yoga consciousness is to educate a person to be more conscious of their state of being before starting any activity. As we wake up in the morning, it is advised to check which nostril is more dominant, and to also kiss that side of the hand, and to step out with that foot. So if your right nostril is more dominant, kiss your right hand and step out with your right foot, and vice versa with the left. And so breath consciousness allows one to live in a constant awareness of their own inner verse, within the universe of the omniverse, and to not get distracted by our monkey minds, and to give a thought to our present state of being by simply watching the breath through the nostrils. And this can help us to keep a track of which side of our body is more active, the sun or the moon. And this allows us to decide whether an activity should be carried out immediately or we should wait for the nostril to change, as you cannot defy nature. And so all body movements should also be done on the side of the more dominant nostril. For example, if the left nostril is dominant, then initiate movement with the left foot. So left nostril dominant activities tend to be things like long-term activities, long journeys, studying, painting, dancing, writing poetry. Right nostril activities tend to be things like jobs that you need to accomplish quickly, short journeys, studying, learning mantras. So to finish off this very intricate subject that I've spoken about today, which I do take into much, much deeper conscious teachings and experiences in my coaching, the left nostril dominates the ascending moon cycle. and it affects the lunar rhythm, whereas the right nostril is affected by the solar rhythms. And if the nostrils are working properly, the body simply maintains its natural, healthy rhythm, if the correct nostril is flowing. So we now have a tool within our own universes to correct this problem at the outset of maintaining the body in wholeness and balanced vibrations. And it's advised not to leave one's bed during a full moon or a new moon until the correct nostril starts to operate. It's also advised to wait 30 minutes after sunrise and then change the nostrils by forced breathing through the congested nostril. Breath consciousness is so connected to our universe because it's connected to our brain hemispheres. And being conscious of your breath allows you to handle a situation in a completely different manner, as our nostrils simply serve as indicators of cerebral brain dominance and guide our response to any given circumstances rather than reacting through the mind. And so one's inner standing at this point of view creates actionables best suited for that particular brain hemisphere that is more dominant in that moment. And you can start to optimize the best use of your energy in any eternal now moment. Would you like to be the master of your reality? Because all the tools are within you. Use this to become a master of self. And the mantra I'd like to leave you with today is, I am at one with my breath and nature. I am at one with my breath and my nature. For further teachings, mentoring and coaching in this very, very deep subject, please look at my linktree below in the description and sign up for an introductory call to my coaching packages. Thank you.